All right, so here we are.
Good thing we're all so well prepared.
Well, we tried to prepare.
We did.
But how can you? Honestly, people just don't realize the pressure that has been put on us to say this speech to you guys.
I know, right? How can you possibly summarize our year into a 10-minute speech?
That would be about as easy as
trying to get Kate Stock to lower her voice.
Exactly. So I guess for a lack of any better ideas, let's tackle the year chronologically.
Perfect. And to spice things up a little bit, I think it's pretty appropriate to describe this year as if we're going to a party.
I like the way you think.
Orientation. It's exactly like the moment you arrive at the party. You don't really know everyone there. It can be a little awkward. You don't know if it's exactly appropriate to show off your personality and just jump into it.
Or if you should just stay reserved and not really show yourself at all for the first 2 months.
And then there are the moments when you don't really want to be at the party and start to complain.
Just like when George Hardy made us traverse and conquer the entire Swiss Alps.
But those are just the type of things that happen when you're introduced to a new environment.
Just like at the party. I remember in orientation when Mr. Boyer told us that the friends we made here at NJC would be with us for the rest of our lives. At the time, I thought it was a really sweet sentiment, but how could people I will only know for 5 or 10 short months be with us forever?
I thought the same thing. But looking back on orientation, now I see that even though I thought a shrimp like me and a giant like Kaylee wouldn't get along, I can't picture my life without that big red giant. So, Jack, what's next?
Well, I guess the next step of the party would be to just jump right into it.
Just like the first time we saw the school.
And then you have to meet the host, of course.
Just like moving into our pension families.
Exactly. With one small exception. Your host speaks French. And not just any French, Swiss French. Which was pretty difficult for an Ontario boy like me.
You thought it was easy for me?
Well, French is your first language, Chuck.
Actually, Québécois is my first language, and I learned that very quickly.
But, you know, with the exception of the small language barrier at the beginning of the year, we now realize how lucky we are to have this home away from home where you feel welcome every day.
It really is. And you get all the benefits of living with parents without all the drawbacks.
Home-cooked meals without your parents pestering you about your grades between mouthfuls. Mais, en toute honnête, je pense que je peux parler au nom de tous les élèves en disant que nos familles d'accueil vont tous nous manquer énormément.
Oui, et surtout, nous remercions toutes les familles qui ont eu la bonté et la générosité de nous accueillir bras ouverts dans leur vie. La vie en pension est vraiment ce qui rend NJC une expérience unique. Nous sommes enchantés d'avoir eu la chance de rencontrer et de pouvoir partager des moments privilégiés avec nos familles respectives. Ce sont vraiment des souvenirs qui vont rester imprégnés dans nos mémoires pour toujours.
So what's next?
Well, the next part in the party would be someone doing something absolutely absurd to get the fun started.
Just like Fête des Vendanges.
You read my mind. There was no better way to start off the year in Neuchâtel like a good old wine festival.
Without a doubt. That weekend was not only packed with festivities and celebration, but also a time for all of us to bond together. And I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, this is clearly the part of the party where people are more comfortable and start exploring, meeting new people, testing out different atmospheres.
Which is exactly like our school trips.
And the first crowd we jumped into were the French.
Paris and Burgundy, the first of a series of incredible trips. Whether it was sipping wine in Burgundy after a long day of biking, or looking down on Paris from the Eiffel Tower, these trips were the first of many bonding experiences.
Other unforgettable school trips include trips to Krakow and Munich, the Remembrance Day trip, the Model UN conferences and the NESDA weekends, and the service trips to Kenya and China.
All the trips that, in our opinion, truly symbolize the most enlightening aspects of NJC.
Because that truly is the beauty of NJC. What other schools would give us the opportunity to step out of our classes and step into the real world, as Mr. Boyer says, where all the issues we learn about in our textbook become concrete realities? It's experiential learning at its finest.
It's here at NJC where the thrill of traveling and being with friends can be paired with such enriching experiences. There's a time we get to test our knowledge on the true issues that affect us not only as students, but as human beings.
At NJC, we constantly face a new experience or adventure. We step out of our comfort zones and take risks we would never have dared to take before. But these risks show us what we're truly capable of accomplishing.
The trips pushed us to grasp every opportunity that was offered to us, even if it was scary at first, with an open mind.
Whether the goal of a trip was to help a community in need or just simply to visit a new city, they all contributed to our growth as people. So Jack, what's next?
Well, I guess now I would have to say the next stage in our NJC party would be when someone sneaks some apple juice into the punch. People get a little too comfortable and some pretty crazy memories are made.
Could you possibly be referring to independent travel, Jack?
Exactly. Every teenager's dream. The ability to go where you want, when you want, and with the people who you want to be. With our independent travels, anything is possible and everywhere is accessible. I'm sure everyone here has heard the classic NJC stories of the fun times had during these weekends. Everyone has probably heard about the time the boys made a complete fool of themselves on Irish national television on St. Paddy's Day.
With a few exceptions, such as missed trains and planes, forgotten backpacks, and passports, these travels were good times with good people.
At its simplest form, independent travel is taking journeying to another level. It is the first time we are able to face the real world on our own, to make our own choices, a few mistakes, and to learn from them. As a class, we've all grown more in this 1 year at NJC than our previous 17 or 18. So what's next?
Well, now the party's over. You mean after the party?
Well, yeah, the whole time we've been hinting at what's next, so what now? You know, our entire lives we've been told to look forward to what's next, always worrying about the next step.
Wondering where to go from here.
All through school, we are told to find the next logical progression, whether it be a simple math problem or deciding which direction your life path should take.
And now at this stage in our lives, we ask ourselves, what is next?
The year was filled with firsts and lasts.
Our first night in the Avocado in Grindelwald.
Our first experience running to keep up with trains on Swiss time.
The first time we saw Mr. Zaff leap onto a garbage can to yell at us about curfew.
Which was hopefully the last time we see Mr. Zaz jump onto a garbage can and yell at us about curfew.
Our last high school exam.
The last time we have to make that treacherous walk up from the Cité.
Our last 45-minute assembly.
But what's next? Where do we go from here?
And to be honest with you, we have no idea what will come.
But for the first time in our young lives, we're not too worried about that.
After this year, we feel like we can face anything. The challenges, bring them on.
We've developed as people, yes. We've all turned 18 or 19, but after NJC, we have all grown as individuals.
And as cheesy as it sounds, not only have we gotten to know a little bit more about this world, but we've gotten to know a lot more about ourselves. By trying new things we never thought we'd be able to do before, by conquering some of our fears, we've changed for the better.
But most of all, we've learned to take things day by day and appreciate the opportunities we've been given.
And taking in every single moment.
Even if we're unable to answer the question, what's next, there's one thing we do know for sure.
That is to forget about the little worries that fill our lives and to focus on the big picture.
To continue the adventure we have embarked in.
NJC does not start September 7th and end June 16th. NJC starts September 7th and stays with us for our lives.
The lessons we learn are permanent, and the memories are unforgettable.
Still, leaving this place will be hard. It was difficult saying goodbye to our loved ones at the beginning of the year, and it'll be just as heartbreaking saying goodbye to our NJC family.
Because in the end, the 58 of us, we're just one big, dysfunctional family.
We've been through everything together, traveled together, roomed together.
Every weekend in Neuch, we went out together, we laughed together, learned together, made a few mistakes together.
From struggling through the Swiss Alps during orientation to mastering the public transport of Prague.
From being complete strangers to inseparable friends.
All the things we've accomplished as students or as individuals would not have been possible without the support of our closest friends.
Not to forget, without the support of our families, our pensions, our teachers, and the staff, without these people, this year would never have happened. They gave us the gift of adventure, of endless opportunity, and most of all, the most amazing year of high school.
So, we're not exactly sure what's to come, but what we do know for sure is that we have to enjoy this moment right here, the end of our year-long party. Let's take this opportunity to enjoy and celebrate with good friends and good family.
So cheers to our last night at NJC, but certainly not our last night together.
Cheers to the memories, the friendships, the days by the water, and the nights in the streets of Neuch.
Cheers to the graduating class of 2012. This is it. We've made it to the end of this journey.
Cheers to the first time in our lives where we live in the present moment, and where the question, what's next, doesn't have to be answered.
Because we're not afraid of what's coming, and we have all of you to thank for that. Thank you.
Should we make them go to...
Toss the hat. Yeah, toss it.
And now, class of 2012,